Well, happy Sunday and welcome everyone to episode 38 of Video Game Club. As always, I'm your host, Tyler, and I have with me today the man, the myth, the legend, Austin.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, it's going. I'm very excited to talk about all the games that we played this year. And it would not be a Video Game Club episode without the wonderful and amazing Mox.
Hello.
Hello, Mox. And from behind the editing screen, a special guest, the one who always gets the special shout out at the end, but he's never here because he's got to do, he's got to make sure we sound good and stuff. Andron.
Hey guys.
Andron, how are you doing?
Doing pretty good. A little sleepy, but I'm good. I'm hanging in there.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that a little bit here in a bit. But before we get started, this is going to be a very special episode of Video Game Club. In this episode, we are going to just have a casual conversation about our highlights and lowlights of the year. But before we get started, what is a game that you've played this year or that you've been playing that we didn't play for Video Game Club that people should check out? Andron, let's start with you. Is there anything you can think of?
Oh, well, I guess not many people are talking about it, but Lost Judgment is a really good one. It's the sequel to Judgment, the Yakuza spinoff, where instead of Yakuza, you're a detective. I know it wasn't as popular as the last Yakuza, but it was still pretty good. So highly recommend it. It'd take a while to finish it for Video Game Club, but definitely story rich. So there's plenty to dive into there.
Did they add a lot of mini games to that too, similar to the traditional?
This time they had a skateboarding mini game, dance club mini game. It's just ridiculous. A robot building and fighting mini game. It's pretty good.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Mox, anything that you've played this year or have been playing that we haven't discussed on Video Game Club?
Well, I just picked up over Black Friday Tales of Arise, which I can't tell if it has good press or bad press, but I like it. It's very colorful.
Is the gameplay pretty fun?
I love it. I like it so much. I even like getting in battles, like Nier. You know how you we'll save it later, but you like the battle system. It's interesting.
Nice.
And it's there's lots of colors.
Colors, nice.
Yeah.
What about you, Austin?
I just finished up Superliminal, and that was I don't know why it took me so long to finish it up. It's only 3 hours long, but any puzzle game that's kind of mind-bendy, people are like, it's like Portal, but this is kind of the closest that I've felt to really matching the Portal vibe and just the level of polish that's there. That was really wonderful to play through, and it has a really unique mechanic to it.
Yeah, it's the one with the perspective stuff, right?
Yeah, where if you're looking at a chair that's up close and you pick it up and then kind of turn and drop it, then it's suddenly giant because
right.
Yeah.
Awesome. I think I played Resident Evil 8 this year after finishing. I played Resident Evil 4 for the first time this year, and then right after I finished RE4, I played RE8, and that was definitely a game that I absolutely loved this year, and I highly recommend it. It's really fun. It's not as open as it's kind of it seems that you can just kind of go anywhere, and that's not really the case. You kind of have to do things in a sequence. But the gameplay is really solid. The story is really weird, but I think that's typical with Resident Evil games these days. But the upgrade system and inventory management, I don't know. It's just it reminds me of just a better Resident Evil 4. That's how I feel. It's really fun. Yeah, but we're here to talk about everything that we've played this year in Video Game Club. And yeah, if you're not familiar with Video Game Club, typically Video Game Club is every 2 weeks where we discuss a game voted on by our wonderful friends in the Bombchu Discord and discuss that game right here on twitch.tv/BombchuTV. And if you can't catch us live, don't worry. You can find us on youtube.com and all major podcast services. Also, if you appreciate what you are hearing, please consider subscribing, rating, and commenting about what your favorite episode was so far. It really helps. And just as like a little housekeeping, as a reminder, next episode will be skipped as we will be traveling and celebrating for Christmas and all kinds of different things. So the next episode will be in 4 weeks, and we will be discussing our 4th side quest, Death Stranding. Now, with all that out of the way, it's time to jump into the year of Video Game Club. And I have some questions here, and it's okay if we don't get to them all, but I just wrote down some questions that I wanted to talk to everybody about. Andron, I know you've kind of, maybe not have played everything that we've played, but I know you have a vast, gaming portfolio in general. Like, you've played a bunch of different games and stuff, and you do listen to us in detail and watch the footage when you do the editing. So I can only imagine. But let's just start with you, Mox. I'm curious, what was your favorite game that we played this year?
Are we lumping side quest in with the regular game club?
Yeah.
Then it was definitely Nier Automata.
Hands down.
Hands down, not even a question.
What about Nier Automata was like so special to you that it was your favorite game?
The story was awesome. I loved how you played different. Are we allowed to say spoilers?
Yeah, I mean, try don't be super spoilery,
Okay,
but
fine. I like how you played, I don't know, the same situation from different perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
The fighting was awesome. I relished getting into fights because it was awesome to kick stuff's butts.
The music was
great.
good.
The outfits are great. The music's great.
Also, like the different gameplay modes or whatever. Like, there's like different mechanics depending on whether or not you're in like a ship or not, and stuff like that.
Also, all the lore, if you go and read the gobs of lore that show up after the game, which you should only read after the game.
And the 26 endings.
Yes, although I did not go back for all of those. So.
Did you? I don't remember last time. Mox, did you do the ending where like you remove the chip from you and you die instantly?
No, because that's the silliest one.
Yeah, it's pretty
so
silly.
quick though. Super easy.
No.
I have a question, Mox. Just because I've talked to my girlfriend about it, but like you mentioned like the music and everything else. What did you think of like 2B's design and like the other female character design in that game? I was curious.
I mean, I really like them because they're robots and they're obviously I don't know, I get mad about armor that's supposed to like be protective and then it's not protective, but they don't even touch their weapons,
Right.
So I don't mind that the armor is rather skimpy. Also, I'm a little selfish because if not for 2B's design, I could not wear her armor in Final Fantasy 14.
Good point.
So it goes both ways.
Good point.
But you're right, it is a little like unnecessarily slutty, but they did it in a nice way. I mean, and they're robots. They're very clearly robots, so that's okay.
Yeah, I thought there were hints of, and I won't go into spoilers, but them being designed for a different purpose at some point, and that's why I was like, I wonder if this is more clothing.
I thought they were going to like push more in that direction, like this was your purpose or something like that, but yeah.
It never goes that way. It never
turns
goes
out
that
Yoko
way.
Taro just likes skippy outfits.
Yeah, that's so true. Andron, what about you? What was your favorite game that we played this year?
Sure. So definitely just, and I came at this just thinking of like what was the most interesting to discuss versus like my favorite of all time, but I still ended up at Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, and I know you guys weren't too happy about playing it for the first time this year, but yeah, it has a special place for me, and even thinking back on the story, I still remember like a lot of really big points of interest there. Close second though was Cultist Simulator, and then Wolf Among Us.
Can you explain or go into a little bit more detail on like your history with Wind Waker? Like, did you get it at launch?
Yeah, so I didn't get it at launch, but I got a GameCube like late, and then my first game was the the remake of Resident Evil. So I got to the point in Resident Evil where I could literally go through the whole game, which is the the knife rather, and Austin can attest to that one.
Oh yeah,
so
very quickly. Also,
and then. Basically back then I got a game and I just played that game. Like there was nothing else. I didn't get like a game every day like I do now. It was literally I got a game, that was it for however long till I get my next game. So when I got Wind Waker, I beat that like at least 10 times before I think I got Smash Bros or something like that later.
Whoa.
But I got first time through, it was the same thing you guys said. I was just like, man, this is slow. It's so boring. Da da da. Then I kept playing it as I got older. I literally was like years older when I stopped playing it. I was like, man, this game's great. But I think looking back, I just remember all the other Zeldas I played, like he didn't really have like a family, so to say. So like the starting motivation, of course, is he's going to save his sister versus Zelda. And I always thought that was what made it stood out of all the games in the Zelda universe, I guess, at this point. So special place in my heart. But even now, I tried playing it again. I was like, yeah, this feels about the same. So a little biased towards that game. Mm-hmm.
What about you, Austin? What was your favorite game that we played this year?
So, I mean, this is... Mox is going to groan. Mystical Ninja, starring Goemon. And I mean, like, obviously I had played it before. I already knew it was great. But I was just really... I couldn't believe it won the vote. And two, I was just, like, super happy to get more people to know about that game, just because, like, it's not very well known. And even a lot of people who know about it haven't played it. And I love that one a lot. So, even just getting one new person to be a fan of it, Tyler, and to like the music as much as I do was a win for me. But, I do want to give a runner-up shout out to Dead Space. I had played that when it first came out, and I remembered enjoying it, but playing it again for Game Club, I was really impressed with how well it stood up as a modern game. Like the way it looks, the way that it feels, the structure, the way it keeps you from permanently sabotaging your own playthrough. It does not feel like a 13-year-old game at this point.
I do agree. I played it for the first time, and I still was like, wow. And I just had to check again. That game was from 2008.
Yeah. That game was great. And they're doing a remake, so like if people were a bit hesitant,
it doesn't need a remake, which is crazy.
No, yeah, it doesn't. But I am excited to see like if they put. There was like I don't know if you guys remember, but when we discussed Dead Space, there was like some little pieces of like stuff they had to hold back because they couldn't they didn't have the technology to do something they wanted. I can't remember what it was. It was some scene that they couldn't do because they didn't have the technology. I think it's when you you get like your legs wrapped and you get like pulled through or something. Mm-hmm. They wanted that to be like more interactive, like less of like a QTE cutscene sort of thing. And so I'm curious if in this remake they will, use the technology that exists to really bring the vision to life. Will be interesting to see. My favorite game that we played this year is also Mystical Ninja starring Goemon.
Oh my god. Get your bromance out of here.
I love this game. I was shocked that I fell in love with it. I thought the dialogue was hilarious. I thought the music was phenomenal. Like, so good. Gosh, it's just... the music is just so good. And like the controls and like how it like handled and everything was just like, it seemed like almost like peak Nintendo 64. That's how I felt when I was playing it, because it seemed like it learned a lot of things. I can't remember when it came out in comparison to like Ocarina of Time and Super Mario 64.
It was before Ocarina of Time, believe it or not.
Wow. But then maybe it's Ocarina of Time took some things from it, because like the way that you like traverse the whole world and everything, it seems so big, and I don't know, everything just worked really well. The only gripes I had is that you get a lot of these power ups and you don't really like use them at the end. Like you get all these characters and like pretty much as soon as you get them with all the power ups, the game's over. So it feels like it was rushed. I would love like a modern sequel to that game. I don't know if it would sell well, kind of like the ukulele stuff, like the spiritual, Banjo Kazooie stuff that didn't do really well. But they did do a Donkey Kong Country thing, and that did really well. But
yep,
I don't know. I just really, really like it, and I listen to that soundtrack regularly. And every time I have to message Austin, be like, "Oh, should I listen to this again?" Yeah, I guess I should. But so good. My least favorite game. Speaking of Banjo, was definitely Banjo-Tooie.
Wow. Makes sense.
I don't know. I guess I don't know. I didn't play it at launch. Well, I played it, but I never got too far at launch. Whenever I picked it up now, I had just like an awful time with that game. I would rather play Famicom Detective Club 1,000,000 times than play Banjo-Tooie again.
Famicom Detective Club was so good.
But I don't know. It just really, I don't know. I just had a really bad time with it for some reason. Mox, what was your least favorite game that we played?
I was between No More Heroes, which I just didn't like the idea of the game, and
fair.
then Sonic because I had such a hard time playing the game.
But
I was just about to say, if you say Sonic, like you can't say Sonic because you played it with a mouse and keyboard.
It had that option in the game, and I played it and sucked. But I would go, if I had to pick one, it would be No More Heroes, just because of like how blech it was.
Mox, you can play Dark Souls with the DDR dance pad too. It doesn't mean you should.
Okay, but it was what I had.
I can't wait. The next game you pick, I'm going to try to play it with a steering wheel and just be like, it's what I had, all right?
Okay, but
I played Dodo with a steering wheel.
The game is built to be played with the keyboard. Why would it suck so bad? Anyway, that's it. That's all I
What about you, Andron? Least favorite?
Super Mario 3D Land. Not because it's a necessarily horrible game. It just there's like no story. So I was like, I don't know why they picked that one. That was it.
That was a recommendation by me. I'm glad I played it though, because I did want to experience it. But what about you, Austin?
So my least favorite would have been Cultist Simulator.
Oh, really? More than Banjo?
So I really struggled to figure out how to even play Cultist Simulator, and every run left me feeling more depressed and just dejected to even start the game up. Like in Banjo-Tooie, I really had a horrible time, but also I could like progress. I knew how to keep going, like I could make progress. And in Cultist Simulator, I could not figure out how to, like I felt really awful anytime I started that game up.
Counterpoint.
Sorry, go ahead.
Banjo-Tooie doesn't tell you how to progress really. They just tell you to get jiggies, but they don't tell you like any clues or anything.
Yeah, and at the very least, if you look up a guide for Banjo-Tooie, like there's something there to help you. Whereas
true.
Guides for Cultist Simulator are like, spoilers, don't read any of this, and I read it anyways, and it's like, wow, that didn't help me at all. No, so runner-up though, Banjo-Tooie for ruining the Banjo franchise for me by totally disrespecting my time and effort.
You could play Nuts and Bolts.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, did you ever?
I had purchased Nuts and Bolts before playing through Banjo-Tooie, and at this point, I'm just not going to play through that one.
Okay, but the
even people who
soundtrack
like
could redeem the
Banjo-Tooie don't
series
like
for you.
Nuts
It
and
could
Bolts.
redeem it.
Yeah,
No, I don't believe it. And also Famicom Detective Club for being so obtuse that even guides online weren't sure what steps you needed to take to progress.
Oh my god, all of these are my picks.
I know. I know. And there's also, like, I keep talking about guides. I don't try to use guides for most games, but, like, when I have to use a guide for a game, like, especially a lot, that starts to become kind of a problem. And, man, Cultist Simulator, even the guide couldn't help me. That's why it kind of makes the top.
What about a surprise hit that we played this year, Austin?
So, Mox, you also picked this one, Soma.
Yeah.
So that story messed me up in a really great way. I had tried it in the past and decided to quit when the monster sequences seemed kind of boring and a lot of time had passed without any real taste of the story. So I'm glad that we played all the way through it for Game Club because, oh my god, that story really goes to some places that they made me think about stuff that I had not really delved deep into thought-wise, like after watching a movie or a TV show, much less playing a game. And so to effectively tell that kind of story in a game, that was just really impressive.
Especially that ending. Or like, I guess It was like the middle too. Like that You know what I'm
Yeah,
talking
there's
about.
bits and pieces that lead up to it, but also the ending,
Yeah.
that my jaw was on the floor.
That was that's a great pick for surprise hit. What about you, Andron? Was there anything that we played that you were like, oh, this is kind of interesting?
Cultist Simulator. I'm bringing it back. I know Austin just picked
Whoa.
that as his least favorite, but that was actually a surprise for me. It was actually one of the few video game clubs that convinced me to play something I hadn't played. So just because from the description you guys gave it, it being a card game, and then also Lovecraftian, and definitely and understand your frustration there, Austin, because I still had trouble, and I play like Magic the Gathering, all kinds of stuff. So but getting into it and then getting a little bit further each time, and then like there are some context clues which kind of pop up, but the big thing is it really did surprise me how addictive it was once I started doing it. But I never built a cult because I kept being the cop or the doctor or anyone but the cult leader somehow. So it was like more like Detective Simulator versus that. And yeah, it took me by surprise. And even Austin, I think the game achieved its goal because every Lovecraftian story ends with despair or death or disease. So it ended pretty hard for you there. So there you go.
Yeah.
What about you, Mox?
The game I was gonna do surprise hit and game that I was surprised to hate. I was so surprised to like Axiom Verge, which I played on my Wii U, which the gamepad just worked perfectly for. And I still need to play Axiom Verge 2, but I just don't know it'll live up to how much I liked Axiom Verge 1. And then the only reason I liked Metroid Dread was because of how much I liked Axiom Verge, because otherwise it was just way too hard. But the game I was surprised to hate as much as I did was Night in the Woods. I had thought that I would like that game just based on what kind of game it was, but my God. That game was hard to
really
like.
bad.
It was very meh, that game.
Yeah.
Yeah. The surprise hit for me that we played this year was Fury.
Yes.
I didn't know like anything about it. Like I've always seen the cover art and stuff. And like it was one of those games that Steam just like throws at your face, it seems. And I don't know. I was like, I don't know anything about this game. Then I started playing it, and then I'm like, oh, it's like a boss rush game, and it's like really hard. And then I don't know. I got really into it, and then I got all the way to the end. There's a part where you can like make a decision, and then you have to fight this like crazy thing. And I kept dying over and over and over. And I was so frustrated. I was messaging Austin, just telling him how mad I was and just like, I'm not going to beat it. I'm just going to give up. And he was like, no, don't. You can do it. And I did it. And then I was like, yeah, this game, I just owned it. Like, it's awful. Like, I'm way better than this game. And all, I don't know. It was just ridiculous. But the vibe, the controls, like the sound, like all of it, the music, like just everything about that game. And it's short enough that I've been thinking like, should I play that over Christmas break, like just for fun? Because it's like it's that enjoyable, that game. And once you learn all the patterns,
you kind of learn. You're forced to learn some new moves that they don't teach you during the game, like during that last boss that you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like as soon as you finally learn those that are necessary to beat the final boss, it's like, well, what if I'd used that through the regular game?
Yep, exactly. That's just so good. Mox, speaking of Axiom Verge 2, Verge 2 was a game that I really hoped like would have been voted on, but it didn't win the vote because I loved Axiom Verge just like you. And that was like, I don't know if I would say like a surprise hit, but I wasn't like highly anticipating it to be such a big hit with everybody. And then once we played it and everyone was like, yeah, this game is great. I was like, oh, the second one, it's going to come out soon and we can play it then. And, I don't know. And I suggested it and it didn't get voted, which happens. But that was one that I was, hoping that would have got picked. But there's always next year, right?
What won over Axiom Verge 2? I don't remember.
Was it? It was Death's Door.
Oh, not bad.
Still, yeah, Death's Door was great. It was a good time. But, Axiom Verge 2 would have been cool too. What's the game that you hoped would have made the vote, Mox, but didn't?
Chibi Robo! We need to play it someday.
Oh my gosh, Chibi Robo.
Don't make fun of It's my favorite game of all time.
What? Is it actually?
Yes.
More than Final Fantasy 14?
Yes.
Are you sure?
100%.
Okay. All right. Chibi Robo.
We need to play it.
You may have to do
It really came close to winning that vote.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. We totally should play it. Austin, you played it, right? Chibi Robo?
I have not.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
It's just so hard to get. I think it would be impossible to pick because it's so hard to get.
So
it runs really well in Dolphin, apparently. And if it did get picked, that's one where I would make the exception to my rule of usually I like to own the game.
For sure.
But that one's so expensive that I think I would have to just emulate it.
Yeah. It's unfortunate that sometimes it's like you don't really have a choice.
Yeah.
These things are just impossible.
Also, only Nintendo would sell their GameCube games digitally.
If only. What's the game that you wish would have got picked, Austin?
Also Chibi Robo.
Whoa.
It's kind of a cult hit that I hear just lovely things about all the time online. And I really want to play through it at some point. I have too many games to get through. At some point, I'm going to play it, whether it's in Game Club or not. But that would be lovely to have it in Game Club to be able to discuss it, and also, Game Club gives me just like it's that extra push to be like, okay, it's time to play it now.
Yeah.
So
you don't have a choice.
I would love for that to get picked next year.
What about you, Andron? Was there anything that got nominated that you were hoping would have been picked?
Oh yeah, I think you guys had like Alan Wake at one point.
Oh yeah,
I was like, I'd be interested to see what you guys think about that game because I can't remember when I played it. It may have been close to when it launched, but it was pretty good. It was kind of scary, but then it stops being scary, more like Control after a while, and it's pretty well made.
Did you play
Control?
American Nightmare?
Yeah, American Nightmare.
No, I think I own it. I just never opened it because I thought it was like completely non sequitur. Because a lot of stuff that I heard about was like it's just random like additional thing, but it's not necessarily. I didn't think it was necessarily lore. I guess after that,
it is.
It is. It's canon. Okay.
Oh yeah.
I'll have to play it then.
It's also like more of an arcadey version of Alan Wake. The structure of the game, I know people had kind of a problem with it because you revisit like the same 3 locations 3 times,
Gotcha.
but like they get different each time.
That like
you're also like
or
trapped
whatever?
in an episode of Night Springs.
Yeah,
which
I was
is
gonna say. I thought
pretty cool.
Yeah,
which is like their Twilight Zone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did you play Control, Andron?
I started it, and then I was like, man, this is a really good game, so I wanted to give it full attention. So I stopped it because I wanted to play only it by itself. But I played enough to know how it felt, which is like X-Files meets Twin Peaks, and I was like, okay, I can come back to this, so it's pretty good.
Nice. Austin, everyone went through, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Are there any games that you're hoping that get picked next year, or maybe like, I don't know, like a specific, like, oh, it'd be cool if we played more Game Boy games or something like that.
So one that I hope that we can get into a pick next year is ActRaiser.
What?
Super Nintendo?
Interesting.
So yeah, the Super Nintendo one. It's just such an interesting mix between like a light God Sim city builder and an action platformer, and it just all like works really well together. And I haven't seen another there's been other games that have tried to kind of recreate that and failed, and all of the ports of ActRaiser up until this latest one that came out this year would like completely remove one of the. I think they would all remove like the city building mode, which was like integral to that experience. It's just like what.
Yeah.
So there was just a long period of time where no one with any real power really understood the appeal of what makes ActRaiser good. And so I think that would just be good to that's another one that would be good to get more eyes on, more people to play it.
Did you ever play Ever Oasis?
I did. That was the 3DS game?
Yeah, I know it's not exactly like that, but it has like some of that where like there's the city that you're like building up, and then you have to like go out and do missions and stuff. And
I would say Ever Oasis is closer to like Fantasy Life for me, but there's definitely some little bits of ActRaiser in there. I can see where you're drawing that conclusion.
I love that game. I hope they make a second one.
Ever Oasis or ActRaiser?
They did make a second ActRaiser.
And it was not the same as the first one, I'm pretty sure, right?
No, they went hard on the platforming stuff and got rid of the God Overworld stuff. But
yeah,
was there a remake of ActRaiser?
This
year.
Okay. Thought so.
Yeah. I had heard some kind of like differing. I need to go back and check, but like initially there were some complaints about differences between it and the Super Nintendo version. So I'd have to look more into that before picking a version. But I would also love to get some more N64 games in, like kind of the weirder stuff like Mischief Makers or Tetrasphere or some other weird N64 games.
Yeah. I think it would be interesting also to like go back and play GoldenEye, just the campaign stuff. Austin, what about? Are you aware that there's going to be like a remake or a remaster of like Pocky and Rocky?
Yeah, you had sent me that video, and it was all in Japanese, so I have no idea if it's even going to come out here.
Yeah,
but
would that be one to pick?
No, not at all. Pocky and Rocky is super duper hard, but I mean, the music for Pocky and Rocky is just so good, and it's very interesting. As like, if you're into shoot 'em ups, it's a very interesting take on the shoot 'em up genre, and especially it's fun in co-op. I know I only had you play the second one where you had more of a backseat, but the first game is really more of like just like straight up both players are in control. But yeah, I would probably not pick it for Game Club.
Okay, fair enough. I'm hoping that next year I'm gonna try to nominate like more Game Boy Color games. I feel like there's like some gems on the Game Boy Color that kind of get overlooked, just because of, I don't know, it's just people just don't associate like, oh, good quality games with the Game Boy Color, I feel. And there's some like decent, like there was like an RTS on Game Boy Color that was actually really good called Warlocked, and that would be like a really fun one to play and just like see how it holds up today, because it was quite impressive to get like a RTS game on the go on a Game Boy Color at the time. Like it was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Also like more Super Nintendo stuff. I feel like we haven't really played many like Super Nintendo GBA stuff. We've done a lot of like modern games, and I don't know, it'd be nice to go back. I definitely hear like GameCube, Nintendo 64 era would be good. It's weird no one's saying like PlayStation, but I didn't have a PlayStation growing up, so I can't really vouch for that. But
it's mostly like RPGs and action games, though.
Yeah,
on PlayStation.
True.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, and a lot of the better ones have been kind of remastered or remade.
Yeah, except for like Siphon Filter.
Yes, I did play that, and I really liked it at the time. Andron, what about you? Any games that you're hoping to get picked next year?
Didn't really come up with a good one because I have so many in my brain. But I guess off the top of my head, Road 96, I think is the name of it. I did the review for it on Bombchu, of course, but I was very sparse because it is a really good adventure. Like there's a lot in there, and there's like lots of different paths, but it all ends up like a story of, you know, basically trying to escape horrible conditions in the country you live, you know. So it's very there's just a lot of different themes, racism, stuff like that, whatever, a little more politically charged, but they do it in a tasteful way rather than trying to knock you over the head with it, you know. So I think I'd be interested to see you guys' take on it, if nothing else, for that one.
Yeah, Road 96 is a game that like it looks really good, and I listened to the soundtrack of it, and it was like all over the place. I'm guessing because there's like different paths, and like I don't know, there's kind of like different vibes depending on what path you choose or like what you decide to do. But it was a game that my brothers, who aren't that in touch with what games are coming out, but they like reached out to me and they were like, "This game looks really cool. What do you think of it?" I'm like, "What? Like, does this game have that much hype? You know, is that?" But
yeah. They have a pretty good marketing team. I don't think they sold crazy, but you know, they at least got it in people's faces, you know.
Yeah,
so.
That's great. What about you, Mox? Oh wait, did you go? No, you didn't go.
No. I was looking over the games, and my favorite console of all time is the 3DS, and I'm so sad that our only 3DS game, again, just on a quick scan, is Super Mario 3D Land, which is the dumbest 3DS game. At least we have, 999 as being a 2D, DS game.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, we need more 3DS games. They're so good. There's so many good ones.
What would be one that you would like to see, for example?
I don't know why I can never remember the name of it. It has like time in the name. It was a remake of a 2DS game. Oh my goodness. Chronicle, something like that. Whatever. You like go between time and there are pages.
Okay.
I thought you were going to say Golden Sun for some reason.
No. I don't know why I can never remember the name of it because its name is dumb and stupid and it doesn't mean anything, but the game itself is so good. I am so tempted to go and get it so I can tell you what it is, but I can't remember. Anyway, there's so many games. And I had voted Hotel Dusk. Room 215.
Yep.
Which is a DS game, which is my second favorite game. That game was not picked as well. Two more DS and 3DS games.
Was the game Time Break Chronicles?
No.
Okay.
Now I have to figure it out. Come back to me.
Good guess, Toby. Good guess. All right. So looking back, is there any game that you wish you had scored higher or lower? For me, and I know I was just talking some smack on Famicom Detective Club, but I do something about that game. I don't know what it is, whether it was like what was going on in my life at that time when we were playing it, what was going on at work. I don't know. But I kind of wish I would have scored it a bit higher, I think. And I kind of want to go back to it and play like the second one.
Oh my god, Tyler.
Yep.
You're killing me, dude.
I'm just telling you how it is. I want to go back.
I can't count the number of times you were like, I'm really glad I didn't buy that bundle package to get the second one because I am never going to play this again.
I know, and like I did feel like that. And then like the further away I get from it, I'm just like, was it that bad? Was it that bad?
And then Tyler goes and plays it again, and he's like, yeah, it was that bad.
You know, maybe that might happen. The other game would be Wind Waker. Like, I said that whenever we talked about it, is that I felt like I kind of rushed it, and I feel that if I didn't rush playing through it, that I would have enjoyed it a bit more. Because, like, I wouldn't have felt that the things that we were doing were so tedious. Especially at the end, there's a very tedious section. It's even more tedious on the GameCube version than it is on the Wii version, where you have to like find some maps and do some things. But yeah, for me, probably those two, I would have scored higher. Lower, I'm not really sure. I tried to like look at listen to some episodes and like look at some games and be like, would I have scored anything lower? Like, I guess I could have gave Banjo-Tooie like a 0, but
oh my
that's about it.
You would have really pissed off that one person, right?
Yeah, exactly. What if Andron? I know that you haven't been on every episode, but is there any game that you thought like our takes like maybe they should go back and maybe these revisit?
I was okay with it. Like I've grown to know your taste, so not really anything I'd be like, yeah, they should change that. There's something I have a personal beef with because it was my childhood, but that's okay.
Oh,
not a big deal.
Man, Andron's the real Wind Waker. He waits that wind.
Oh yeah, and I spin around and shoot fish that are in tornadoes too, man. It's all fun.
Austin, what about you? Any regrets?
Nothing sticks out to me. I feel pretty confident and fair in the scores that I gave. I mean, I try to really make it clear that I don't think like a score is it's
opinion.
It's a number. It's almost it's like an objective number about a subjective opinion. And so I try to make it clear that like this is reflective of the experience I had, while also like when we discuss, trying to appreciate what other people like about it that just don't click for me. So like I stand by my score for Wind Waker. For me, that is not a game that I like. But I still acknowledge that, it's great for other people out there. Like when you said, Tyler, that you probably would have liked it more if you hadn't rushed through the game. I think if I hadn't pushed through to just go to the end, I probably would have just put the game down and never finished it in the first place. As an example. And also, for like Banjo-Tooie, maybe I could have lowered that score a bit. But also like I try to be fair. Like, hey, if you made this game and it's technically working and like technically polished, even if the design is bad, like half of the game is the technical piece, right?
Yeah.
The design is really important, but you also have to make sure the game is working properly. And so like when Banjo-Kazooie is technically a very well working game, I have to give it some points for that.
Sure.
So
what about Metroid Dread though? Because you picked that up like right as it came out, and like that new game feel can affect you. Did you feel any different with Metroid Dread a month later, or how?
I'm trying to remember what score I gave that.
Something. I think like an 8 or a 9.
Yeah, I think I gave it an 8. I might bump it up a little bit to like
what
an 8.5, but at the same time, I would probably just leave it at an 8.
Huh.
A lot of people have been just getting deeper into that game and finding more and more stuff.
Yeah.
I think maybe I would have had a little more time to go examine the side paths, because like it does a really good job of funneling you to the next like story point instead of letting you just kind of dawdle around and be like, well, what's over here? I don't know where to go. Oh, look, I found a missile tank. And seeing some of the stuff that I had missed that other people were finding, it's like, oh, that's really cool. But at the same time, I haven't, like, seeing all that, I haven't been like, I should play that again right now. Because, I mean, these days it takes a lot to get me to replay a game I've already played. When I was a kid, I would do it all the time.
Yep.
With my favorite games. But now it's like I have to really, really love a game to replay it. And generally, even ones that I really love, I'll only do like once every year or two, unless it's Sonic Adventure, which I don't love, but I like it, and for some reason, every year I want to play it once.
do that whale level every time.
Don't forget to go fishing. The big cat.
Yep.
that cat part is just awful.
Buggy.
Mox, anything for you?
Well, I don't regret any, scores that I've given, but I regret that I didn't get to play Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, because I've always intended to play that game.
Yeah.
And I hear it's quite fun.
It was.
I played it. Also, I figured out the name of the game I was talking about. It's Radiant Historia. And then the remake, Radiant Historia Perfect Chronology.
Oh. Okay.
Those are pretty long ones. That'd probably be like a side quest type of game.
I don't know. Are they that long? Maybe they are.
Isn't it like a big old RPG?
Yeah.
Well,
so.
We've played plenty of RPGs in regular video. Just saying.
Like what?
Like what?
What do you mean? Like,
what do you mean?
I don't know. Death's Door seems like an RPG.
That's an action game. It has some. I don't even know if I would say it has RPG elements to it.
999. Sonic Adventure.
Also, definitely not RPG.
No more heroes. All right. Okay. So, I did not prep you guys for this, but we have a little bit of extra time. So, I first want to say that I'm just gonna list every game really quickly that we played this year, and 3 of these games most people won't know. Only the diehard fans that have been along for the ride ever since the beginning will know. And we actually played 3 games before Firewatch, and they're lost episodes. They're gone. I don't even think I have them like recorded on like the VOD on my hard drive or anything. But Titanfall 2 we played, Halo Wars, and then Hotline Miami. Those are the 3 games those episodes are just lost to time. If you watched us stream those, then pat yourself on the back, because you're one of the OGs. Like, it's crazy. But then we did Firewatch, A Plague Tale: Innocence, Axiom Verge, Batman: Arkham Asylum, Soma, Dead Space, Undertale, Grease, however you want to say it, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, What Remains of Edith Finch, Hacknet, Fury, Super Mario 3D Land, 999, Mystical Ninja starring Goemon, Night in the Woods, Katamari Damacy, Banjo-Tooie, Sonic Adventure, Beyond Two Souls, Bastion, Control, Fez, Metal Gear Rising, Death's Door, Famicom Detective Club, which one did we play? The Girl Who Stands Behind, No More Heroes, Metroid Dread, Cultist Simulator, and The Wolf Among Us. And then we played Dragon Quest XI, Nier Automata, and The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker, with Death Stranding coming on January 2nd. Of all those games, if you could recommend 3 games for someone to check out, what would those 3 games be? Mox.
Can I pick ones that I picked, or do they have to be ones that I didn't
you can pick whatever you want.
Well, it'd have to be Nier Automata, Axiom Verge. Man, there's just so many good games.
Yeah, it's okay. It doesn't even have to be like your favorites or anything. Just like 3 that you're just like, people should play this.
And Control.
Okay.
Games that people should play.
I would pick Titanfall 2.
What?
Yep.
It's really good.
And Mox, I think if you played Titanfall 2, the campaign,
even you,
I think you would cry.
Wow.
I think there would be tears shedding.
Huh?
It's also only like 4 or 5 hours
And it
long.
does have an easy mode, I'm pretty sure.
Music to my ear.
Yeah. I would pick Titanfall 2, Undertale. It was the first time I played it, and if you haven't played Undertale, play Undertale. Also an amazing soundtrack. So good. And then I'm not going to pick Goemon because I already talked about it. But lastly, I would pick Fez. Fez, Undertale, Titanfall 2. If you haven't played those games, definitely play them. What about you, Andron? 3 games. Wind Waker?
No. I actually won't recommend that. Like, I like it, but I can see the age of it as well. I'd probably recommend Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance as one, because it you don't even have to be ready to play it. It just will take you on a ride. Grease was really interesting, I think. So I'd probably recommend that one. And that last pick. I think 9 hours, 9 persons, 9 doors. Just because it's a completely different kind of game. Like it's almost like Escape Room, the game.
Yeah.
When I think of it. So.
What about you, Austin?
So, Undertale, I know is a really easy pick.
Yeah.
But also, since I hadn't played it all the way through before doing Game Club, obviously there's other people out there who haven't played through Undertale, and if you haven't, you should. I'm not guaranteeing that you're gonna love it, but also it's just like it's such a huge part of the gaming culture.
Yeah.
It's not playing it is kind of like being a movie buff and never having seen Jaws, for example. Which is a great movie, but also a really important movie.
Or Uncle Buck.
Right?
Uncle Buck!
What? I saw Jaws when I was 5, though. So.
I have never seen Jaws.
I didn't see Jaws until like 5 years ago, and it was just like, it blew my mind.
Yeah, it's really good.
I couldn't believe how good it was. But anyways, Undertale, if you haven't played it, you probably should. I would say Fez, just because that's one of those games that so when you picture in your mind, like when somebody says you want to play video games and you have in your head, it's kind of like a milkshake. You have in your head the idea of like your base requirements for a milkshake, and like you picture the taste. There's some place that has that milkshake for you. And for video games, it's like when somebody says you want to play video games, you picture something in your brain of like, here's what my basics of a video game are. And it's like there's other stuff that breaks the mold there that are good as well. But Fez is one of those games that is just like everything in my brain that a video game, like that just a great video game should be. It's got great puzzles, great mechanics, it's got great art, great music, and lots of very interesting secrets that are inviting you to kind of come and explore more. That's a really good one. And it's tough to pick a last one, but I think I'm gonna say Soma. It's not an easy game to just like muscle through to the good stuff. There's a lot there that kind of drags it down a bit, but overall, I think that is an incredible story that could only be told in the format of a video game. I don't think that would have worked as a movie or a TV show. Like, you could do it, it wouldn't have the same effect, I don't think, as being a first-person video game. And so I think that's just that if you want an example of what video games can do as a medium for storytelling, I would say Soma is a really prime example of that.
One piece I want to add about Soma too is that I do not like horror games at all. I get super scared. Like I think the last the last Game Pass video where I had to play Visage. Oh my goodness, I was so scared. Like it was awful. But Soma, like it does have like some scary moments, but I promise you, as someone who hates horror games and scary games that are scary in general, it is worth pushing through. I really think so. And if you can't push through and play it, I would recommend watching a playthrough of it to experience the story. Personally, I don't know if you would also second that recommendation, Austin, but
I would say maybe there's a mode that you can turn on that disables all the monsters from attacking you. It's like a no death, like no aggression mode.
Oh,
that you can do. Mox, I think, played with that, and she still found it pretty scary.
Yeah, but it was good.
But yeah, I mean, I would try that first, and if you really can't do that, then yeah, maybe watch a YouTube playthrough of it. But I would say when you're not in control of the character, that kind of
it's a little different.
That puts a bit of a damper on that aspect of the story. Personally,
yeah,
but yeah, probably better than just not experiencing it all.
Any last takes before we go, or anything that you feel needs called out?
I do want to say, while I didn't adore Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, I really enjoyed playing it for Game Club. That was a fun game to like play alongside other people and kind of discuss with them as we were going.
Yeah.
While it wasn't my favorite game, I thought it just fit the format of Game Club well. I enjoyed doing that with y'all.
Yeah, that was fun to do. Like that was the first and only one that we did in like 2 episodes, I think.
Yeah, we were trying to experiment with doing longer games, but that was before we had established side quest.
Yeah, that's a thing. Yeah, I think if I had any like one that I was really close to picking that that just didn't quite make the cut was like What Remains of Edith Finch. That's another one that I just like really enjoyed, like all of it, and it has some really good storytelling as well. But
for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was like our take of this year of Video Game Club. I mean, we played before Video Game Club, I struggled to finish games. I don't know about you guys, but I would always be like, oh, I'll get to this eventually, or I would play something like halfway through and then I would get stuck and I would just put it down. Like I can tell you right now, I would not have finished Dragon Quest XI had we not have picked it, and I'm really glad I did. But we played 36 games this year, like just for Video Game Club, and
just pretty wild.
Finished, all of them almost. It's nuts. I don't know if Cultist Simulator really has a finish, but as much as we could. So
yeah,
it was a good time, and I just want to say thank you everyone who's been listening this year. And Andron, thank you so much for all the editing and everything that you've done and all the feedback that you've given us as well. And any guest that was on here, shout out Mr. Prague, who was on the Dead Space episode. Chris, who was on some episodes for a while. We really miss you. We're excited. We're excited to get you back, Chris. It's just, man.
And Daniel.
Yeah, Daniel was here too. That for Metroid Dread. Like, hopefully next year we can have some more like guest appearances from people and get some different takes.
We also had your friend on for Undertale.
Oh yeah, and Undertale. Man,
I remembered her name yesterday, and today I'm blanking on it. I can't.
Brittany.
Place it. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, man, I forget. That was a while ago. Yeah, that was a good time too. Man, yeah, jeez. So many guests and stuff. Yeah, we should get her on again. That was a good time. Yeah, but I just want to say thank you everyone for listening and continue listening and stuff, because it's really fun to do, and to like see your guys' comments and just to like see you guys vote on stuff as well, and Discord, everything. Just as a reminder, you can catch us here on twitch.tv/BombchuTV every 2 weeks, except the next
Except
two.
for 2 weeks from now.
And the stream goes up at 2 Eastern, with the next one being January 2nd, which we will talk about Death Stranding. And if you can't make the live session, again, don't worry. You can find the episode up on YouTube and all major podcast services. Just search Bombchu Video Game Club and you will find it. Before we leave, I just want to plug that we're working on the Xbox Game Pass video for November. They dropped like some surprise games on the last day of November. And as you guys know, it was Thanksgiving here in the United States. So I was out traveling. Andron and Austin are both going to make a guest appearance on that video. And I'm really excited for that because that was super helpful. There won't be a Game Pass video in December, and I'll talk about that in the video for November. You'll get like a more detailed explanation. But yeah, Austin, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Are you going to be here next year?
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Mox, I know you've been so busy this year with everything you have going on with work and everything in between. And you moved and all kinds of stuff. And I just want to say thank you so much for trying to make time. And even if you couldn't like play the games, you tried to, watch some gameplay or like watch a playthrough. And you were,
And you're our lore master.
Yeah, for real.
Like, there's a lot of story that we wouldn't understand without you.
So thank you so much.
I have so much fun every 2 weeks except the next 2 weeks.
We'll see you next year as well, right?
Yes.
Great.
Awesome.
And Andron, I just want to give you like a really special thank you for
Thank you.
letting this be like a thing on the Bombchu channel, supporting us, editing it, getting it on all the podcast services, just like everything, the YouTube like updates, everything that you've been doing.
The really cool introduction things.
Yeah.
The animation, the pictures. I love it.
All of it. And like listening to our feedback on like what we like and don't like, and then like tweaking everything. Like I know you've also done a bunch of stuff this year, and I just want to say like thank you so much for taking time to make this a thing, because this was just like an idea that I just had, and me and Austin talked about it, and we pitched it to Andron. He was like, yeah, it sounds great. And I don't know, it's just been like a really great experience. So thank you so much, Andron.
No worries, guys. Not good at taking thanks, so
we'll take it. All right,
I
take
completely
it.
Get it. But yeah, fun stuff, and I'm happy to do it as long as we can do it.
Yeah. As always, I'm Tyler, and this was Video Game Club episode 38, a review of the whole year of games that we played. And we will see you next year, January 2nd, for Death Stranding. Thank you so much.
Thank you, viewers.
Yep.
See you guys.
Bye.